When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. Oh, if I wake up with a bad attitude, I fill my mind with gratitude. I give thanks for everything and every little thought I think. Oh, I can choose to be happy. I choose to be free. Moment by moment, it's all up to me. 'Cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way for every little thought I think. What you thinking? 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 What you're thinking, yeah. Oh, if I wake up with a bad attitude, fill my mind with gratitude. I give thanks for everything, every little thought I think. I choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Yeah, day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Yeah, day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Ooh, yeah.
Please join me in prayer. And we are gathered here today to honor that creative spark within that comes from the one perfect life, that is God. That perfect life that belongs to each and every one of us here today. Everyone within the sound of my voice, everyone on planet Earth, everyone everywhere. We know that God is perfect, whole, and complete in form and substance. All that God is, each and every one of us are, by divine inheritance, from that power that becomes what it loves and makes things out of itself. We are grateful to be able to celebrate the traits that we've inherited from this power, to grow and to expand and to create. That basic good nature. We are grateful for the knowledge that our lives matter, that each and every one of us is worth our own best effort, that there's never anything to fix, because we are perfection embodied in individual expression. We give thanks and know that this celebration will be perfect in every way, and we are grateful for all who come together to make this celebration all it can be, knowing it'll be perfect in every way. I give thanks for every expression of the divine in this room, in this church, in this city, in this state, in this country, in this entire universe, and release these words into that law that knows how to make, mold, shape, and create all the good there is, everywhere, all the time. I let this go, I let it be. Together we affirm, and so it is. Yep. What a beautiful bunch of people here. So many new faces, friends we haven't met yet. I was just saying to Rick, it looks like that rumor I started that David was going to tell the truth this week got some traction. We've got quite a crowd. Thank you all for being here. I've got some words that I hope that you'll find inspirational, and the first comes from Avery Carter. Self-worth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be consistent. The more you treat your life like someone who matters, the more the world starts to reflect that back to you. Our second set comes from Brian D. McLaren. Is joy the primary emotion you associate with God? If not, what emotional condition do you primarily associate with God? What would be the effects in our lives and faith communities if we understood God to be essentially a joyful being? From our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes. The impulse of spirit to move must be caused by a desire to express what it feels itself to be. Beauty, form, color, life, love, and power. Well, you've all met this brilliant young man. There's nothing I can say that'll add to your experience with him. I know that every time that we call upon him to be a service to New Dawn, he said yes. And we've asked a little bit more of him because he's hung around so much. This happens to everybody at New Dawn, including yours truly. If you hang around here long enough, they find stuff for you to do. So come on up, young David.
The thing that got me coming back is the young part. Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, New Dawn. What a joy to be with you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind invitations over the years. Thank you for the invitation to step into this new role. I'm humbled, I'm excited, I'm honored. Rick's a little scared. He said, you know, honey, you had 3 years of training before you even stepped into practitioner training. And then you had 2 full years of training to be a practitioner. And then you had a whole lot of years of training to be a minister. The only training he got to be a minister's spouse is that the notebook had to match the shoes. Back in the day, it was the bag had to match the shoes, but neither one of us are doing that. So, you know, maybe the briefcase has to match the shoes. At any rate, I did want to acknowledge my beloved and thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. And with regard to the birthday invitation, Rick and I share the same birthday. So we're turning 65 on the same day. So the reason the code is Rick David is because we have the same birthday. And yes, it was a little weird on the first date, and we'll share that with you perhaps in another talk. But it is both of our birthdays, and I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that. So much to talk about. Look at him flipping through all of those pages of notes. Good thing at least one of our air conditioners is working. Sit back, relax. Yes, the picnic yesterday was great. Thank you for the kind welcome. So wonderful to see so many faces that I was familiar with and so many new faces. The love and support from my ministerial colleagues, Rev Jen, Rev Lauren, was wonderful to see them as well. And, you know, something else we have to be thankful for, Mercury goes direct tomorrow for those who pay attention to such things. So all things communication will be cleared up overnight, guaranteed. We'll all hold that intention. So a couple of things that I just wanted to share with you. As you look around this beautiful space, you might see a few more stoles among us, and that is because we sent out the invitation for those in the religious science and the science of mind community, if they were going to join us, that I would be honored if they would wear their practitioner stoles. So thank you to those who accepted that kind invitation. And a ministerial colleague, Reverend Lauren, wearing her ministerial stole. Thank you, Reverend Lauren. Please, yes. So, again, so much going on. One of the things that in conversations with the board that we are interested in reinvigorating is some of the workshops and the classes. And I know Russell has an announcement a bit later, something that's going to be percolating in September, a prosperity and abundance class. And I wanted to also let you know that Rick and I are going to be offering our first workshop here at New Dawn on Saturday, September 21st. What better way to recognize the fall equinox than to come together in community? And I'm going to be talking about using the labyrinth as a spiritual tool, as a certified labyrinth facilitator, and inviting you into some of that work and sharing some of that context with you. And then Rick is going to be speaking about the Japanese concept of ikigai, which they spoke with a number of people in Japan, actually on a Japanese island. I'm going to slaughter this, but Rick can clean it up later. At any rate, ikigai looks at 4 components coming together to help you lead your best life. So the thought is the labyrinth will talk about internal, ikigai will talk about external, and we will take it from there. So we will be downstairs in this building on September 21st from 3 to 5 p.m. The energy exchange is $29 at the door, and you will leave with your own miniature watercolor painting to help you anchor your new intentions. Rick is also an extraordinary watercolor artist, so you get to play a little bit there as well. So please put that on your long-term calendar. As I thought about what I wanted to bring, what I wanted to share, what brings me passion, what brings me coming back, as I've shared with you just a little bit, I think, one of the things that really brings me joy is ballroom dance. To be extraordinarily clear, I'm really not very good, and I know God doesn't care, and it makes me happy. So my ballroom dance partner and I, Pam, we take lessons a couple of times a week, and no, we don't have recitals, and no, you're not going to be able to see us anytime soon. It's one of those things that we just do for inward joy. And I love all of the life lessons from ballroom dance. So one of the things that I will be sharing with you as we go forward is a life lesson from the ballroom that support me in grace, rhythm, and joy. And I will use that as a lead, pun intended, into the talk of the day. So the life lesson from the ballroom for today is lead with intention, follow with trust. Ernest Holmes writes, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. In dance, the leader sets the path, and the follower trusts the direction. In life, intention is our spiritual leadership, and trust is our willingness to let the infinite guide our steps. When we combine clear purpose with deep faith, life flows with grace and ease." And for those who love affirmations, I move through life with clear purpose and joyful trust. Leading us into our conversation for today, then, about the law of cause and effect in our lives. Based on the creative mind, our dear Russell and practitioner colleagues selected the books so long ago. And it fills my heart to be able to talk about one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite books. So I offer you this again from the creative mind, from Ernest. We are surrounded by a creative mind which receives the impress of our thought and returns to us what we think. We all know that. Many of us know that. That's why we're here. What we think about, we bring about. What Ken sings about, we all bring about. So I'm reminded of the moment I lived in Seattle for a year when I was in the corporate world, home of Starbucks, right? Home of continual rain. There's a reason why people in Seattle need a lot of caffeine. There's a reason why Starbucks was founded there. And I'm reminded of a woman who was frazzled. She goes dashing into the Starbucks, and everything that can go wrong does go wrong. They don't have her order. The line is too long. She left her wallet in the car. She's just beside herself, and she turns around and she dashes out, and she gets back in the car, and she realizes that she was at the wrong Starbucks. And so the invitation is everything around her was chaotic because she was chaotic. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience. I have. The other end of that energetic spectrum, another coffee shop story, and forgive me, I was remiss at the beginning. In addition to recognizing my husband, I also wanted to recognize our family members who are present, Connie and Jamie May, and Barbara and Paul Barrett. So thank you. And we were on an annual family reunion vacation in Leadville last weekend with Connie and Jamie and our extended family. And Rick decided he wanted a coffee. And so another friend of ours, Roland, said, "Oh, I'll take you." So these two guys go off to get a coffee. And they get to the first coffee shop in the huge town of Cripple Creek, Colorado, whatever I said earlier. But in Cripple Creek on a Sunday morning, and Rick walks up to the door, and it says, "On break, back in 15 minutes." Now, he could have been like this other person and gotten all wound up, but he got back into the car and he's like, "Oh, that's great. They're taking a break. Everybody needs a break. I bet it's really hard to get people to work up here in this small mountain town, and it's a new coffee shop, but they wanted to give it a shot." But they went right across the street to the other coffee shop that also just opened. So Rick was able to get his coffee. They got back in the car. They drove back. They were almost back to where we were at the hospitality house. And Roland, our buddy, gets a call from his niece saying, "Uncle Roll, can you please bring me an iced tea?" So, they turn around. They go back to the first coffee shop, which is now open. So they get to go in, get a drink from that coffee shop, and then head back to the hospitality house. Now, see, God had a plan. God needed for them to experience both coffee houses because we were leaving later that day. Now they have something to report, right? So we plan, God smiles. So rather than getting all wound up and not having his caffeine, Rick was like, isn't that an interesting experience? And he got to check out 2 new coffee houses instead of just the one. Or, more as Oprah puts it more succinctly, you don't become what you want, you become what you believe. And that is what we get to step into today and what we know as religious science practitioners, as metaphysicians. Ernest also wrote, "As we sow in our thought, so shall we reap in our experience." Or in more of the current vernacular, what we reap, we sow, right? And so that is what we know to be true. Everything begins in mind. Everything is created twice, once internally and then once externally. Ernest Holmes teaches that our thoughts create a new mold that the universal mind fills, and that it is subjective. Any of us who've ever spent a moment in an RS church are familiar with seed, soil, spirit, right? The 3 elements that come together. And that is what Ernest continues to invite us into. And what we know is we can't plant anger and expect to grow peace. So that is because that earth, if you will, that substance is objective. And you've heard me use the analogy before for all the gardeners in the room, whether flowers or vegetables. You're planting cucumbers, and the universe isn't going to say, "Oh, I think they meant rutabagas," Or you're planting sunflowers and the universe isn't going to say, oh, I think they meant petunias, right? You reap what you sow, you get what you plant. So another story there, another big event. Coors Field was sold out last night. It's probably sold out again tonight. No, unfortunately, not for the Colorado Rockies, but for the Savannah Bananas. Has anybody heard of Banana Ball? Banana Ball is awesome. The shorthand version is they're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. These guys started 10 years ago. This guy and his wife, long story short, they were trying to get a minor league team started in Savannah, Georgia. Everything went wrong. And so they finally went all in. They mortgaged their house for one baseball game in Savannah, Georgia. All they wanted to do was to fill this stadium one time. They charged $30, and it included all you could eat and drink, including alcohol, including beer, $30 for this all-inclusive experience. Now, Banana Ball has some interesting new rules for those who are purists of baseball, Jamie May. In Banana Ball, if you hit a foul ball and a fan catches it, it counts as an out. In Banana Ball, they looked at everything that was boring about baseball and they turned it on its head, right? So in baseball, if you get 4 balls, you walk. Well, that just slows the game, exactly. That just slows the game down incredibly, and people are literally walking and blah, blah, blah. In Banana Ball, when you get 4 balls, you get a sprint, and the hitter drops the bat and sprints to second base. And if you can make it to second base before the opponents have a chance to throw the ball around the horn, all 9 players, if you can make it before they hit the 9th player, you get to stay on base. So it makes it a little more interesting rather than watching somebody walk to a base. And then they also have the Golden Cape. And the Golden Cape is basically a designated hitter that they can use at any time that they want. So if it's an interesting time in the game, they can put this Golden Cape on somebody, and they get up and they get to hit. So tell me what you're thinking, Barbara. I know you're a baseball purist. We went to a baseball game with Barbara and Paul, and they were very sweet and very supportive, as they always are, until we got popcorn in a batting helmet. That was a little over the edge, but they continue to love us. So anyway, Banana Ball has sold out last night, sold out again tonight. Tickets start at $123, and they go up to $950, obviously on the secondary market, right? And I saw an interview with the guy who created the league. He said, that's not our intention. He said, our intention is, $85, maybe $100. They had to do away with the all-you-can-eat concessions, but they want to make it fun. Another rule in Banana Ball is games are no longer than 2 hours. Excuse me. So they are changing our experience of the game, right? They are stepping into the responsiveness of the universe. They took something that is known and loved and wanted to tweak it, wanted to make it interesting. So that is what they were looking at, and that has been the success of Banana Ball as they continue to sell out now Major League Football, yes, football stadiums around the country. So the law doesn't judge. The law reflects back to us what we put into it, just like the seeds that we plant in the soil. A thought to ponder. Every mirror you have ever seen or owned has been used. You're welcome. But like that mirror, it doesn't say, David, what are you doing? Did you mean to wear that shirt? And what is happening with your hair here? Your mirror is reflecting back to you exactly what you are presenting. So if we are constantly affirming lack and fear and resentment, that is what we're getting back in the mirror from the universe. One of the many things that I love about this community is we are affirming, we are uplifting, we are positive, we are happy. It's not that we are wearing rose-colored glasses all the time and we don't know what's happening in the world. It's just that that's the choice that we are making. What if you are meant to be happy. What if your natural state is joy? Yes, you get to deal with human circumstances. Yes, you get to move through interesting family conditions at holidays. And what if your natural state is happiness? That's what I invite you into. That's what I invite you to consider. The other thing that we know is that responsibility is power. Many have heard the quote that, with great power comes great responsibility. We are co-creators of our existence. We are co-creators of our reality. We are not victims. Excuse me, this is bouncing around a little bit. I thought with those good size ears that they'd have something to hang on. There we are. So that is what we know, is that responsibility is power. Ernest tells us our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. What do you hear? We put the limits on ourselves. That is what he's trying to share with us in his lovingly obtuse way. So, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but I was reminded of the fellow who was very Zen-like and very meditative and always engaged in spiritual practice every morning, and he was calm and he was peaceful until he didn't hear his playlist. Alexa, you played the wrong playlist again. How can we be in that place of peace and calm when we're not? And that continues to be the lesson, and that continues to be the work. So what does that look like for us then? What does that look like for us in these interesting times, in our interesting world? I try to be positive, and I have been accused of cherry picking and always picking the good stuff. And that is absolutely true. And that is what I choose to do. And that is a conscious choice. It's not that I don't see the other stuff. I choose not to focus on it. So when we're bombarded by negativity, we get to strike that balance between being informed and being overwhelmed. In our house, just by circumstance, I wish I could tell you this was by some grand plan. We haven't turned on the TV since the first week in July. We haven't watched TV. Now, that's not to say we haven't been on our phones, to be fair. But it was just something that kind of evolved for us. Rick has never been a big TV watcher, and I have been an rabid TV watcher. And I have to say that the energy in our house has shifted, not only with and for us, but with our beloved four-legged as well. He's trying to figure out, what's going on and where my dad's going to be hanging out, and I can hear when they talk to me now. So I invite you into that. What does that look like for you? Because what we know is media is generated by the negativity, right? That is the news. I'm grateful that we're seeing more. I don't know about you all. Whenever I watch one thing, I get a million other of them. So I've been seeing a whole lot of baby elephants now. And baby elephants are bringing me joy, right? And so whatever we choose to focus on, and for the most part, social media thrives on outrage, thrives on the negativity, thrives on getting our hormones all stirred up around each and every post. And I love the invitation from the social media meme that says, if you don't like it, you don't have to comment on everything. Scroll by. Let it be. Let it go, right? Let it be out in the universe. So what we know then, back to the work of Holmes, is that the law of cause and effect invites us to choose our inner dialogue consciously. Regardless of what's trending, we are always at choice. Please, if you hear nothing else today, hear that. We are always at choice. You may not like your choices, and you always have choices. So what does that look like? Well, in my experience with this beloved community, at New Dawn, we practice conscious creation. And here are 3 ways. Morning mindfulness. Choose 3 intentional thoughts each morning. What does that look like for you in that day? I am love. I am peace. I am purpose. Or whatever drops in for you. Secondly, I offer a cause check. When life feels off, when you're off center, when you're not feeling centered, whatever that looks like or feels like for you, what belief might I be feeding? I know some of us are really good about when we're not centered to get back to center again, right? As Mile High teaches in the kids program, first rely on God. The frog concept, leap back to center. We can do that, and I'm inviting you just a little bit deeper to explore why you're there. Because to think about it, to feel it, is not a bad thing. The challenge comes when we decide to set up a tent there and we decide to camp there, right? As the country western song tells us, if you're going through hell, keep on going. So think about it, understand why you're there, and move through it. And then the third practice is the mirror practice. Look yourself in the eyes and speak your truth. I am creating with love. You may not always know it. You may not always feel it. That is what I know about you and for you and about this community. So we know about the law of cause and effect. Many of us have worked with it beautifully over the years. A number of folks who are relatively new to the teaching are awesome at manifesting parking places. And I'm not making fun of anybody. That is important. That is creating the muscle to know how to do that. And this community is willing to take it so much deeper for all of us in so many ways. Please join me in a moment of prayer. And if I could ask all of my ministerial and practitioner colleagues to join me and stand and hold consciousness. I just say thank you, sweet Spirit. Thank you for the ability to come together. Thank you for the reminder of what many have known for perhaps a moment, perhaps a season, perhaps a lifetime. Reminders are good. Spirit is patient. We can always deepen in our work. And so as we explore what is mine to do this day, I know that the answer is already known. Maybe it's adding a prayer at mealtime. Maybe it's blessing a family member with whom relations are a little scratchy at the moment. Maybe it's gently and firmly saying no to honor your human body temple. I just know that each beloved within the sound of my voice has their own unique and personal connection with the divine and knows exactly what they need at any given moment. They simply get to ask and receive that information. So as we move forth through this week then, supported by this extraordinary community, by the practitioners, by the lay members, by those reaching out heart to heart, voice to voice, hand to hand, whatever is needed, blessing in so many ways. I just simply say yes. I say yes to the cosmic yes. I call it good. I call it very good. I call it blessed and a blessing. And as we go forth then, I know we live the concept of namaste. The divinity in me blesses and recognizes the divinity in you. All is well. God is magnificent. Thank you, Spirit. We anchor this together by saying, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life. Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing in the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and holiness? Or sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Thank you, young Ken.